Curve the cube will now initiate.
Hey guys, it is Jaime, and I am in my car recording because I'm on my way to Ocala and I couldn't be more excited about it. I can't tell you the exact reason why, but just know that the announcement for the reason why is coming in the next day or two, and it's huge. It's one of the biggest milestones a girl could hope for in her podcasting life, so I'm very excited about that. So details coming soon, but it's not because of Hurricane Irma. I'm going to be the only idiot driving south towards the hurricane on Friday to head back in town to be with my little baby boy Jordan. So yeah, that'll be me on a lonely highway headed south through Florida on Friday. But anyways, there is something I can tell you about, which is that I have been asked by Dave Lee. If you heard my last episode of Curve the Cube, then you know this bit, but I was asked by Dave Lee, the co-founder of International Podcast Day, to be part of his 30-hour live broadcast on September 30th, which is, coincidentally enough, International Podcast Day. And so I've been asked to host a whole hour. It is a huge honor because I'll be in the company of, John Lee Dumas and Gary Leland and Dave Lee himself and so many other wonderful people in the world of podcasting. So it's really a huge honor that he asked me to do that. So thank you so much to Dave Lee for that. And I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to be talking about the growing podcasting scene here in Florida, both independent podcasters who, if you have an independent podcast in Florida, please go to floridapodcastdirectory.com and submit it. I'm going to be talking about the Messengers documentary, which is a phenomenal documentary made by my friend Chris Krimitsos, and my friend Neil Giarte directed it. And a whole bunch of other friends of mine are in it, including Glenn the Geek and Katie Krimitsos and Jessica Kupferman. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So it's now available on iTunes and on Amazon. So if you haven't checked it out yet, guys, you got to check it out. So I'm going to be talking about that show, that documentary. I'm also going to be talking about, of course, my new network, the Florida Podcast Network, and everything that I have in store for it. But I'm really going to be talking about the independent podcast scene and how proud I am that people like Jared Easley and Chris Krimitsos have really contributed to growing it like gangbusters. So that's going to be huge, and I already have some awesome guests booked, guys. It's really exciting. So first up, we have Danny Pena of Gamertag Radio. He is a Podcasting Hall of Fame inductee. He was inducted, I believe, in 2016. I apologize, Danny, if that's not right. And I'm so proud of him. So he's from Miami, and so he's going to be on the show. I'm also going to have Glenn the Geek, the man behind the Horse Radio Network, a.k.a. my mentor, a.k.a. Glenn Hebert, a.k.a. Glenn Hebert. And he's the man to go to when you need to know how to build a solid network. And he's from Ocala in horse country in Central Florida, so I'm excited to have him on. It's a total honor. And there might be some other special guests that come on with him, so stay tuned for more announcements there. And let's see, also added to the roster, I'm really excited about this one because I haven't published this anywhere else yet as an announcement, but added to the roster is, drumroll please, Kevin Rolston of the KVJ Show. So if any of you know me well, you know that I've been a longtime fan of the KVJ Show. The KVJ Show is the #1 radio show, at least in South Florida, perhaps all of Florida. I'm actually not 100% sure, but it's huge. And Kevin, who is at the helm of the show, he was one of the early pioneers of in radio broadcasting to see the promise and the potential of podcasting and to figure out not just how to repackage their show into a podcast, which they do, but then they also have this special recording they do every day after their show is off the air called the After the Show podcast. And so there's extra audio that's strictly on the podcast, and they have really figured out how to do it right. And so I'm going to have him on, and I'm really excited to talk about the bridge between radio and where podcasting is going and his perspective on all of that. So tune in. I'll be giving more details as the date gets closer, but it's going to be September 30th at 10 a.m. That's my time slot. So be sure to pencil it into your calendars, people. You don't want to miss it. Thanks. This has been Jaime. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Good morning, folks. This is Jaime up in Ocala, and I'm so excited to bring you another update on my fun time at the Horse Radio Network headquarters with Glenn and Jen of HRN. That rhymes, just kind of funny. But, man, I have had such an experience here so far, and it's just the very beginning of the official day 2. And I have so much to tell you about. So, first off, I have to tell you, I've completely fallen in love. Very deeply, very fondly. His name is Scooter, and he's a horse. And he's awesome. And he's Glenn's horse, and I went over to, anytime I go over to the fence to see him, he's just so sweet and kind to me, and he nuzzles up in my face, and I promise you, he was giving me kisses today. At least that's what I think. He lets me kiss his nose, and, you know, that's what matters. And he's just so sweet. And I got to meet Nigel, who's much bigger. He's Jen's horse, and he's a gentle giant. At least I am taking Glenn's word that he's gentle, but he's definitely a giant, and he's awesome. And I'm actually going to be riding him later, which I am totally stoked and excited about. So I'm sure that's going to be an interesting update for later this afternoon. Let's see, what else? Oh, so, you know, Glenn broke the news to the auditors that I was joining the team, and man, are they a fun bunch. I mean, some of the things, okay, you know, right off the bat, you know, because he introduced me as a non-horse girl, so they said, you gotta get her on a horse, and then they started offering all kinds of things, whoever was local to me down south, to get me on a horse, to introduce me to sheath cleaning, which I will not spoil the surprise. Go Google it. Just make sure children are not in the room, and you'll find out what sheath cleaning is. Glenn gave me a mug and a hat, which kind of felt like it was official, guys. The picture's up on social media of me in my HRN mug and hat. And so, in case you don't know, I am HRN's new production coordinator, production assistant, whatever. Just gonna be getting to learn all the ins and outs, and you know, the last couple days I've gotten to see how the sausage is made. I got to sit behind the scenes yesterday for their recording of Horses in the Morning, which was a really wild experience to witness in person. I got to sit with Jen as she sat at Studio B, as they call it, the producer's desk, and fielded the calls and got them extra info and all that stuff to Glenn and to Jamie, who's out in Phoenix recording. It was really, really cool to see, you know, that interaction. And they had a caller, someone who they had to call in from the UK, a guest caller. So that was interesting to watch how they coordinated that. You know, some things fell through the cracks, and then they picked up the slack and got everything back on track. And that rhymed again. I didn't mean that. Once again, I did not mean that. But what takes me back the most about being here in Ocala are the sounds. I mean, it's full-on nature here, guys. I'm surrounded, and it's lovely, and the smells. The air is so sweet. If you have a chance to come up here, I highly recommend just coming up here and forcing yourself to do nothing. I repeat, force yourself to do nothing. It will be a couple of the best days of your life. You know, I was sitting in the chair with headphones on behind Jen, and I kept hearing this weird noise, and I took the headphones off to see if it was coming through the feed or not, and it wasn't. It was outside. I tapped Jen on the shoulder. I said, Jen, is that nature? And she started cracking up because, yes, it was nature. It was a frog. And I've heard frogs before, but this one sounded so close and so different that it was really cool. But anyways, so I also learned how to, handle the final audio edits when they come back from Neil Garrett's company, Wild Style Media. Learned how to post all that stuff up to the sites. And Jen and I had fun ganging up on Glenn and making fun of him every single chance we got. I mean, we were just two peas in a pod when it came to that, so it was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was interesting to see all the behind the scenes. And then it was cool. I got to actually be on the show yesterday morning. So if you go to the Horses in the Morning Facebook page and look up yesterday's show, I'm about 15 minutes into it. They invited me on and talked to me, and Jamie asked me all kinds of questions about horses that I knew none of the answers to. I mean, I did okay. I think I got partial credit on one of them, but we'll see if that really counts. I don't think so. But I did have to brush up on stuff. But yeah, so today I'll be riding Nigel. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be on a horse, guys. Me, city girl on a horse. Anyways, there'll be more updates for you later. I love you all. Thanks for following my adventures in podcasting in Ocala. Hey guys, I never got to give you a final update on my time at HRN&HQ before having to leave yesterday, so here goes. Alright, so I woke up early, around 4 a.m., to Glenn's Fred Flintstone typing in the next room as he was doing show prep for Horse in the Morning. So I joined him in there and got some work done for the fine folks at Juicy Results. And then I snuck out in the morning to give Scooter more kisses, which he sweetfully, I don't know if that's a word, but he sweetly obliged. I could nuzzle that guy all day long. He's just the cutest thing ever. And then I went and I produced my first live show ever. Guys, it was such a moment. It felt really cool, really good. I learned a lot about draft horses. I want a Shriner, so that's my wish list. Anybody go look them up. You'll see how beautiful they are and why. I want one so bad. But it went well. I didn't screw it up. So big yay for that. And then after the show, Glenn announced that it was horse time, which meant it was time to ride, and I was instantly giddy. I went out, I helped brush the horses, which Nigel apparently really enjoys. Oh my God. Okay, so that saying about being hung like a horse, it was created for a reason, okay? Holy smokes. So then I got to clean hooves and horseshoes for the first time. 2 observations. Number 1, horse legs are very heavy, and you have to get pretty close to their the sheaths, to get the job done. Number 2, whatever is all clumped up in those things, really stinks. It's a mixture of dirt and old poop and God knows what else, and it hits you after about 5 seconds, all of a sudden, like a ton of bricks. So thank God that Glenn and Jen warned me, or it may have fallen over on the spot. Wow. All right, then we hitched Scooter up to the carriage, and Jen saddled up on Nigel, and we went off for a ride around the block. I got a lot of great video that I hope to put up soon, but it doesn't do it justice. The ride was simply beautiful. And Glenn was even trusting enough to give me the reins at the end, which I thought was really nice. Then we went to their field, and Jen got me up on her horse Nigel. Now, I'm serious. It wasn't graceful by any stretch of the imagination, but I got up on the first try, and that's what matters, people, okay? So I rode on him around the field a couple of times, even walking him over a pole. It felt so good up there, and I totally get why people love it. It was simply awesome. There just aren't really any words. And then we went back inside, checked the storm track, and just, made the decision. It was time for me to head home. Honestly, mostly because I didn't miss the quickly closing window to head back south, which I was worried about, in case they reversed the southbound lanes on the turnpike and made them all northbound lanes. I didn't want to get stuck up in Ocala away from my baby. So I'm glad I was able to get up there for my training and then get back home to my Jordan before Irma hit. By the way, she's scheduled to hit us on Sunday, which is my birthday. So I wrote the following. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me. Make a hard right turn, Irma, and head back to sea. But in all seriousness, if you're in Florida, guys, Irma is using us as a runway. So please pay attention to your local authorities. Take her seriously and either get down or hunker down safely if possible. Get out or hunker down safely if possible. And if you're driving, please drive safely. I had a pickup truck lose control and flip over into the woods right in front of me. I pulled over, called 911, and ran to assess and assist. And thank God there were no children involved, and all 4 men were alert and able to walk out on their own, but it was terrifying. And 2 of them, they had head injuries, one also with a 5-inch laceration on his head and bleeding from his ear. It was awful. So, all we could do while we waited for the ambulance was to just gather under my umbrella and pray. So please be careful, people. There's a picture of the truck flipped over on my social media for anybody who wants to go see it. But endless thanks to Glenn and Jen for inviting me into the HRN family with this opportunity, and to the HRN auditors for welcoming me into the tribe with offers of rides and sheath cleaning. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a wild adventure, so I am saddled up and ready to go. And as far as me and mine, we have the shutters up and are hunkering down. So thank you to everyone who's reached out with love and concern. I will be in touch as quickly as possible on the other side. Prayers to all.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Jemmy.
How are you?
I'm doing terrific.
So this is an exciting day because today was day number 2 back on a live broadcast, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Oh,
Horses in the Morning back live. Felt good.
How does it feel?
Feels really good, actually. we do a lot of recorded shows, but the live ones just have a feel, and I just like it.
They do have a
pressure.
feel. You're not used to having to do a recorded shows much for Horses in the Morning. And let me just catch my listeners up because they just got a nice taste of all of my updates from my trip up to Ocala and all the
you riding a horse.
I was riding a horse. I was riding the great big Nigel, and I rode in a carriage with the super sweet Scooter alongside you, and it was just a great time. I had my own slew of firsts while I was up there. So first, I just want to say
City
thank you
girl
so
going
much.
country.
I know, city girl into a horse girl. So I just want to first say thank you so much for just bringing me up there and welcoming me into your home and all of that, and for the opportunity to join forces with Horse Radio Network.
No, we're glad to have you. We're going to learn a lot from you. So we're glad to have you.
All right, I think we need to trade 1-to-1. Anything I teach you in tech, you need to teach me something in horses.
Okay, that's a deal. Well,
That's a deal?
you know, the biggest job with horses is cleaning the stalls. So shoveling poop will be something we can help you with.
Oh, joy. As long as you don't start me off with a sheathing lesson, I'll be okay.
There you go.
But yeah, so Hurricane Irma, she was very rude on many levels, but one thing that she did was just so rude. She interrupted my training, but it ended up working out because after you guys lost power and internet up there, we put our brains together and came up with the fabulous idea of moving everything down here to the wonderful Mo's, your listener Mo's house in Boca, and she put us up, and I got to help you guys like reconstruct your studio down here. And so I wanted to talk to you about the experience of having to move your whole studio down and dealing with everything post Irma.
Well, you know, first thing is it says a lot about our listeners that, you know, when we said we needed to go someplace with internet and power, because we were without for almost 6 days.
Yeah.
We, one of our listeners, matter of fact, a couple of listeners, but many of the listeners stood up and said, "Hey, look, come to our place." And Mo was down near you, which I knew that you offered so kindly to help us out and get us through that pinch. Because we produce, for people that don't know, we produce almost 20 episodes a week. Yeah. So 80 episodes a month. And, you know, we had already lost a week and we needed to get back into production because we have many sponsors and affiliates that really need to get their shows out.
Right.
So when Mo stood up, and she said the kindest thing to me, she said, "Look, you've been entertaining me for years. This will be my way of giving back." And she pretty much opened her doors to you and I, gave us her entire office, was working from her living room that week, gave us her entire office and said, "Here, just use it. It's all yours for as long as you want." And she was so kind about it. And it worked out great. I mean, it just worked out terrifically, actually.
Well, it almost didn't, though, because I remember when we were trying to put everything together. I mean, man, did we run into some technical issues when we first were reconstructing
setting up the equipment was the problem. Mo's place wasn't the problem. It was our
Mo's place was great.
Yeah. It was two podcasters that have been doing it for years trying to figure out the equipment.
And I remember you gave me
and
a little
nothing
bit of a
was
test.
cooperating.
You said, okay, I want to do this with this computer, this with that computer, and here's the mixer. How do I run all the cords? And I was like, and you put me on the spot with the test. You're so mean.
Maybe it's because I didn't know how to do it, and I was hoping you did. That could have been it, too.
It could be. So for anybody who isn't aware, which I think most people are by now, but you've been my mentor since February, since we met at PodFest, and you made me keep a promise, and I did. And then you said, okay, you can be my mentee, and you've been fantastic. So it was really fun to sit alongside you, not only have you hire me, but then to be able to sit alongside you and really feel like I was, your podcasting bro. Getting to do all that with you. But yeah, figuring out all those technical difficulties and stuff was crazy. And then I had the pleasure of recording the rodeo marketing show.
Yeah, you actually did your first producing of a show, and you were terrific. Yeah, just what we were hoping you would end up being. So, and you come with a lot of experience too, which is what we were looking for in somebody. And you came with a lot of experience, and you're super smart, so that helps.
Thank you. But aside from just moving the studio down and having to take that into consideration, I mean, Jen, she couldn't make the trip down because she had to stay up there and handle all of the horses.
The horses and the farm and everything. And she had She had the rougher end of the deal. I was staying in a nice hotel with air conditioning, power, and showers. She was here without power and no water and trying to, get the horses water and all of that. So she had the rougher end of the deal, for sure.
I mean, it was crazy when we were, Irma was still on her way over. And I hadn't really thought about it before, but what do you do not only with, your home, which is the limits of most people's considerations, which is enough. But then you also have to think about, well, your whole studio is in your home. So then you had to think about, how do I get it from one place to another? Where do I put it? You're lucky enough to have neighbors that you could put all of your essential primary equipment over there while you came down here with your secondary stuff. But then on top of that, it was how do you deal with all with the horses?
Well, and a lot of people that live in cities don't realize that when you live in the country, you don't have city water. So everything, a pump for your well is electric.
I mean, I learned that because I said, I don't get it. Why does it matter?
And you surprised me, actually, when you said the one day when you didn't have power for a long time, you said, I'm taking a shower. And I was like, well, how the hell is she doing that? I couldn't figure out how you were. I thought somebody was out there pouring buckets over you. I just didn't get it. But, and then I realized, you still have water. And see, that's the one thing we were missing. So we were actually having to go to places in the neighborhood that had generators that could pump water with large, basically trash barrels we'd cleaned out and fill them with water for the horses because they drink 10 gallons each a day. So with 40 horses, we had to come up with 40 gallons a day. And
it's crazy. So in your case, you had to think about moving your primary equipment to a landlord's or your neighbor's house, moving yourself and your secondary set of equipment down here, getting set up, running shows for a week down here,
right,
and then having to pull it all in reverse. I mean, it was a lot. And then on top of it, you were helping other people connect with one another, with strangers through the power of your network and social media and getting, because a lot of horses had to move from the Keys. I know you helped someone down there. So it was a lot.
Yeah, it was the largest movement of horses in the state in history because a lot of them bugged out from Wellington, down your way, down in Wellington areas. It was huge for horses, as you guys all know. Yeah. And they all were heading north, through that traffic and the no gas and all of that. And, so they said it was the largest movement of horses in Florida history.
And that's amazing because, and you see them as you're driving sometimes as city folk. We see them and we always point them out and get excited when we see a trailer full of horses on the road. But it's a whole nother ball game when thousands and millions of people are all trying to move in one direction, unlimited amount of space, and everyone has to move their horses or other animals. And, some people have to consider either staying behind with them or leaving them behind. And it's not an easy decision. So hearing all the stories that you guys shared on your show, and on social media and stuff it was eye-opening for me. It really was.
When you came up a couple days before the storm and then headed back, you said you saw tons of horse trailers. So Plus the problem
some of them multiple times because I stopped at rest stops and they didn't or whatever.
And we have another concern when you're moving horses like that. If you're stuck in traffic for hours like that was, the horses get overheated back there. They don't have air conditioning. So, they're sitting there in the hot trailers, which are basically like an oven. If you're moving, there's a lot of air in them and they're fine. But if you're sitting still, it just is bad for them too. So the whole thing was a mess.
It was crazy. Yeah. So as people are starting to kind of rebuild and get our lives back together, I know you and I are both starting to finally breathe a sigh of relief and catch up. I know when you got back, you had still a lot of cleaning up to do. And for me, it was just a lot of catching up. And, so now we're starting to finally be able to look forward again and not constantly looking behind it, the whole catastrophe that was Irma. So I kind of want to say, tell my listeners what you have in store for me. What trials and tribulations do I have to face now that I've agreed to the
well, actually, you're coming on as a producer for us and going to be helping us with production, in addition to working on website. All the things you do anyway. Just maybe on a little faster, different scale than you're used to. And we've learned so much from you. You're more efficient than we are, so there's a lot that's going to be learned both ways. I always had a saying in business, and this is from 30 years ago. I always hired people that were better than me, and I truly think we've done that with you. So, and that's true. You always hire somebody you think is better than you. And if they, sometimes they don't have the experience you do, but you think they're better than you at their core, that's who you want to hire. That's the person you want to be on your team. You want them to go past you. You want them to, I hope someday that you go past us and you move on, to something bigger and even better.
Yep.
That means that we've succeeded in what we've done. And I know a lot of employers don't look at it that way. But that's the way we look at it. We look at it if somebody graduates from us and moves on, and Jennifer always looked at it that way with her writing students too. She always thought, if they get beyond me, I've done my job.
And I promise not to stick my finger out the window at you as I pass and leave you behind. I promise.
Okay, good. Good.
All right, so else I want to talk about a couple other things because there's something huge on the horizon.
You don't
for
like
my
compliments
show.
on your own show, do you?
What's that?
You don't like compliments on your own show, do you?
I get really uncomfortable. So moving on. So this is something that's a huge, major change for Curve the Cube, and and it's something that you've been trying to advise me to do for quite some time, and I finally got the courage to do it, and I'm biting the bullet about it, and that is to change the name of the show.
Wow.
So the show is going.
I don't think I even know this.
Yeah, so starting the show that releases November 1st, it will be under a new name. So right now the show is called Curve the Cube, where dreamers become doers, and it's kind of flip. It's going to be called Dreamers Become Doers, Curve the Cube and Do the Impossible. So the name Curve the Cube is still going to be in there, but now the primary name is going to be Dreamers Become Doers.
That.
Thank you.
I think it says more to an average person of what it is.
Yeah, then you've been trying to drive that into my skull for quite some time. That, you need to be able to understand what a show is just from the title and make it that obvious.
Yeah, and I don't think I think Curve the Cube is clever, but sometimes clever is too clever.
Yeah.
But you're a little artsy, so I get the reference. I get why you wanted Curve the Cube.
Yeah, and it's funny. My dad and I were talking about the other day about something completely unrelated, and for some reason he just started talking about how much he loves the name of my show, and so I had to say,
I'm changing it.
I appreciate the sentiment, but however,
but it's still in there.
It's still in there. So, so as of November 1st, it'll be a big change, but I think it'll be a change for the better. Also, something that's coming up on the horizon for my listeners and all of our friends and your listeners too is International Podcast Day.
Yes.
And that's September 30th. So that's Saturday. So I'm hoping I can have this out by then. I intend to. But yeah, you're going to be one of my very special guests for Saturday, and I can't thank you enough for lending me your time on that day to join my broadcast. It's going to be really exciting.
This day is so important for your listeners and our listeners and us as podcasters, anybody that has anything to do with podcasting. It's our chance as a community, and that includes everybody listening to this right now. It's our chance as a community to say, hey, look, to our friends, there's this thing called podcasting because so many of your friends know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So you get on social media, you tell them about Curve the Cube or whatever podcasts that you like, and you promote them. You help promote podcasting in general. That people like Jemmy are not going to be around. People like me are not going to be around unless we have the support and the help of our listeners. And that's not financial. That's just telling your friends and showing them. If you're with them in person, grab their phones and download a podcasting app. Show them how to listen to a show. What we have found is that most people are not listening because they don't know how. They think it's hard. They think it's complicated. And so they don't do it. When something's hard and complicated, we just don't do anything. And as a species, that's the way we are. So, it's easier to not do anything. And what we're counting on all of you that are listening, what we're counting on you to do is to go out and tell everybody you know on International Podcast Day, which is Saturday the 30th. Is it the 30th?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Saturday the 30th. Tell everybody on your Facebook page, on Twitter, on any social media that you have, and also in person. Talk about podcasting that day. That if every listener here did that, we would double our audience in one day, and that's tremendous. And it, for somebody like Jemmy and myself, we count on you. You're the one that's spreading the message for us.
And there are all kinds of events and special different showcases around scheduled for that day. But International Podcasting Day, the people behind the day itself, Dave Lee and his whole team, they're doing a 30-hour broadcast. And I am so privileged that they asked me to host one of their hours. So for anybody who would like to listen to what I'm talking about, which is the growing podcast scene in Florida, then my hour will be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can find all the information at flintstonemedia.com/IPD for International Podcast Day. And so Glenn will be joining me for the back half of that hour, and I'm so excited about it. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff, including the Messengers documentary, which everybody needs to be downloading on iTunes or Amazon immediately because it's phenomenal. And I also want to get into real quick what we have on the horizon for you and I, Glenn. We're teaming up in another way. Would you like to share it with
are.
folks?
Well, I think we can tease it. Let's just tease it.
Okay, I'll let you do the lead.
You want me to tease? Well,
lead the tease.
Well, I think the day I met you, I decided that we needed to do a show together, and I've been talking about horses now for over almost 6,400 episodes over 10 years.
HorseRadioNetwork.com.
Yep. But I want to talk about something different for a little while. So, we love where we live in Florida. So, Jemmy and I are teaming up to do a show that I am predicting in a year is going to be the most popular show about things in Florida. And the planning's underway now. In a couple of weeks, we're going to get started. But let's leave it with that tease, and then you can tell them more about it later. But I am so excited. I think you and I will make a good team. Yeah. And we're actually going to go on the road a bit, and we're going to experience some things for everybody. And it's just going to be a ride. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to play to our different backgrounds and our different strengths, and it's going to be.
Yeah, she's city girl. I'm country guy. So this should be it should be interesting to see each other's worlds.
Yeah.
Although some of the things she said she's going to have me do, I'm not sure.
Hey, if I agreed to one day learn about sheathing, of course, then you need to step it up. Sorry.
It's going to be a blast. And we're going to, with all of you, we're going to get to experience all the really hidden cool things in the state of Florida.
Oh, yeah, and there's so many, so we're excited about it. So pay attention. That's just the tease, but also pay attention to FloridaPodcastNetwork.com for more information on all of that, and follow the social media. So thank you so much, Glenn, for helping me provide this update to my listeners. This has been, I don't do bonus episodes too often, but there's so many milestones and big things on the horizon that are happening all at once right now, and great thanks to you, that I just really wanted to take this time to provide this update for everybody. So thank you so much for doing it with me.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yay! Follow HorseRadioNetwork.com.
International Podcast Day is September 30th, and you can help spread the word. You may be asking, what can I do to get involved? It's pretty simple. Head over to internationalpodcastday.com and check the suggestions. Then use hashtag International Podcast Day to join the conversation. You can reach out and connect with other podcasters, listeners, and your favorite podcast hosts. Remember September 30th, International Podcast Day, a day-long celebration of the power of podcasts.
You have successfully curved the cube.